I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas. I want to do a video where I give a preview of 2023 movies. I'm going to be talking about various movies that are coming out in the year 2023. Now, I'm recording this on New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year, everyone. Let's crack open a beer. I apologize for the decor. I'm in my sister's childhood bedroom, hence all the stuffed animals. They're not mine. I apologize. I also apologize for my disheveled look. I'm on vacation. I'm taking advantage of it. Lastly, I'm going to make a video of every movie I watched in 2022 ranked. Keep your eye out for that. I'm just doing a preview video first. This is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be original movies that are coming out in 2023. The second part is going to be sequels, reboots, remakes, Disney products, schlop, call it what you will. So let's get to it. So let's start with the month of January. You have the movie Women Talking. This has an all-star cast, Frances McDormand, one of the Mara girls, Rooney or the other one, I forget their names. Anyway, my friend Jackie saw this movie at TIFF. Says it was the best movie he saw at TIFF. Don't sleep on this movie, guys. I'm sure this is going to be a great movie. I don't like the title, Women Talking. They couldn't think of a more captivating title than Women Talking. When I think of Women Talking, I think of The View. That's not good. A Man Called Otto. This movie kind of looks bad. It really looks bad. I got a little Tom Hanks fatigue. I'm tired of the whole America's Dad shtick. He was awful in that Elvis movie. This movie looks like a shittier version of As Good as It Gets with Jack Nicholson. The Pale Blue Eyes, this is actually from the director of Crazy Heart. He also made Out of the Furnace and Hostiles. Stars Christian Bale. I hear this movie is actually pretty good, and it's about a famous author. I forget which one. Is it Robert Louis Stevenson? No, it's not Robert Louis Stevenson. It's Edgar Allan Poe. There we go. They all have three names. It's annoying. Anyway, I hear this movie is pretty good. It came out in limited release. It comes out on Netflix in January. It's probably going to be a slow burn movie. It's probably going to be pretty boring to most. I'm going to watch it regardless. I don't give a fuck. Here's one that's interesting. I have a friend, back when I used to study pharmacy, he told me to read this book called The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I downloaded the audiobook, and I couldn't get through 3 chapters of this book. It was so annoying to me. The whole book was some guy being like, oh, be like me, man. I don't give a fuck. Just be like me, bro. And yeah, well, they're turning that into a movie. So, it is what it is. M3 Gen, which is a stylized version of Megan, I guess. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. January is looking a little rough this year, folks. It could be good. No, it's probably going to be bad. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when they tried to remake Chucky, and they made it like an AI doll. It kind of plays along like that. It doesn't look too good. I believe it's a Blumhouse movie. I'm not a big Blumhouse guy. Operation Fortune, new Guy Ritchie movie. A lot of people are like, hey, this movie's coming out in January. It's not going to be good. Last time Guy Ritchie dropped a movie in January, I actually liked it. It was The Gentleman. That was actually a pretty good movie. It was with Matthew McConaughey and Colin Farrell, and it was about Matthew McConaughey's weed business. I thought that was a pretty fun movie. This could be a good movie, but Guy Ritchie's last movie was Wrath of Man, which was, it was not good. Cautiously gonna watch this movie, I guess. I'll see what the reviews are like. I really hated that Wrath of Man movie. You people. Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill, directed by Kenya Barris, who wrote Shaft, Coming to America 2, and Girls Trip. Wrote a lot of movies. We'll see if this one's any good. It's coming out on Netflix directly. Stars Eddie Murphy, which there's not enough movies starring Eddie Murphy, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest Jonah Hill fan. He's a little up his own ass, in my opinion. It kind of just looks like the white guy wants to marry the black girl. Whoops, what kind of hilarity ensues? It's kind of like a 1980s premise, but it could be done tastefully. It could be done right. We'll see. It could go either way. Infinity Pool, latest movie by Brandon Cronenberg. I'm very hyped to see this movie, as a matter of fact. It could be really good because the first movie that Brandon Cronenberg made, son of David Cronenberg, was Possessor, which was a really weird, freaky, crazy horror movie. And he has a lot of the same elements of his dad. Weird sci-fi premises, gruesome violence. Let's read the premise of this movie. James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of Latolka when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. This sounds like a very Cronenberg premise. David Cronenberg or Brandon Cronenberg. So I'm really looking forward to this. Infinity Pool, put it on your watch list. February. Guys, this movie, it feels like a fucking made-up movie. 80 for Brady. It stars Lily Tomlin, Sally Field, Rita Moreno, and Jane Fonda. You know what that reminds me of is they made that Las Vegas movie, and it had like De Niro, Morgan Freeman, just like a bunch of like older actors, and this is like the female version. So in a story about four best friends who go on a road trip to see their favorite player, Tom Brady, hilarious adventures ensue. Yikes. Oh no. This actually looks like a made-up movie that would be in the beginning of Tropic Thunder. This doesn't look good, guys. Knock at the Cabin, the latest M. Night Shyamalan movie. This one stars Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint, who is in the series that M. Night Shyamalan produces for Apple TV. Last M. Night Shyamalan movie was pretty bad. It was not good. The island that makes people age quickly. It was probably one of the schlockiest M. Night movies. But I will say this. I saw that old movie in the theater. And one thing is for sure, I'm always looking forward to seeing an M. Night Shyamalan movie in the theater. Because you can get Kino, you can get a good movie like Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, or Signs, I even like Signs, or you could get a giant shitstorm. He really swings for the fences, this M. Night guy. It's never gonna not be entertaining to me. Whether it's a good movie or bad movie, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing a new M. Night Shyamalan joint. Cocaine Bear, which is about a bear that snorts a giant brick of cocaine and finds himself going apeshit. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks. I feel like this movie is one of those movies that's going to have a really cool title, and people are going to be like, wow, Cocaine Bear, a bear on cocaine, what a quirky premise. And it's going to fall short. I don't think Elizabeth Banks is that strong a director. What she directed? Pitch Perfect 2 in that shitty Charlie's Angels movie. I don't think this is going to be all that good. It's kind of just a movie that's way too dependent on its premise. I think it's going to be a giant red herring. We're in March now, 65. New Adam Driver movie. So Adam Driver plays a spaceman who winds up on Earth 65 million years ago and is forced to battle terrifying dinosaurs using newfangled technology. It's a very schlocky premise. It kind of feels like a B-movie premise. Produced by Sam Raimi, score by Danny Elfman, and it's from the minds who came up with A Quiet Place. Not quite the director, that was John Krasinski, but the people who came up with the idea are directing this movie. Sometimes when Sam Raimi slaps his name on something, I'm pretty much into it. He did that Crawl movie, he produced that one. I thought that was decent, nothing mind-blowing. I might catch this one in the theaters just because of its schlockiness. I didn't see the trailer. I usually don't like watching trailers, but I might check out this movie if it's any good. And also in March, a movie that's pretty interesting is a Tetris movie. They're making a movie about Tetris. No, they're not going to have people pretending they're blocks and doing boo, 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 boo. As a matter of fact, this is a movie about the making of Tetris, which could be pretty interesting. I was reading up on it. There was a lot of Cold War tensions that were going on because Tetris came out in like the heat of the Cold War. Heat of the Cold War. That didn't really sound well. But anyway, stars Taron Egerton. I think is a pretty good actor. This could be good. It kind of seems to have like a Social Network kind of tone to it. So who knows? It could be good. We'll wait and see. April, we got Renfield, which is a movie about Dracula. Obviously, Renfield is one of the characters in the original Dracula book. Nick Cage is going to play Dracula, and Nicholas Hoult is playing Renfield. And apparently, this is a more comedic take on Dracula from the director of the Lego Batman movie. I just want to see Nick Cage return to his vampire roots. Some of you might know that I reviewed the Nick Cage classic, Vampire's Kiss. And whenever Nick Cage is a vampire, it's going to be gold. It's like when you have Nick Cage play a superhero. It's like guaranteed gold. Nick Cage belongs as Dracula. I can't wait to see this movie. It could be good. I feel like Nick Cage is making a bit of a comeback in his career. He's picking projects a bit more seriously now, and people are starting to realize that Nick Cage is a certain talent that when put in the right role can be really good. I'm thinking of movies like Mandy, Color Out of Space, even The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which I wasn't that big into, but Nick Cage did a great job in that movie. When put in the right role, Nick Cage can be pretty good. A Nick Cage movie where Nick Cage plays Dracula and is the director of Lego Batman sounds like a recipe for success for me. Keep it on your watch list. This one, guys, don't sleep on this one. Blackberry. Again, we were talking about this kind of social network tonal feel in a movie with Tetris. This seems to be kind of like that, but with BlackBerry, and it's about the rise and fall of BlackBerry, which is a really interesting premise. As someone who's not the biggest tech nerd out there, I want to know, where did BlackBerry go wrong? I know where it went wrong. It was that shitty little keypad. My fucking thick-ass thumbs can fit my fucking thumbs on the keypad. But this one stars Jay Baruchel in the main role, directed by Matt Johnson, who directed that space movie, I forget the name, the conspiracy movie. But he also made The Dirties and Nirvana, the band, the show. I think this will be a great movie, and I think it's going to be a movie that kind of puts Matt Johnson on the maps. He's been making some pretty cool stuff, and no one really knows about him. Lastly, in April, you got the new Taika Waititi movie, Next Goal Wins, starring Michael Fassbender and Rice Darby, who many of you might know from the beautiful, great, amazing TV show, The Flight of the Conchords. I think this is going to be a hit. Michael Fassbender, I want him to make a good movie. It's been so long, this poor guy, I think he has the shittiest agent. He was in like 20 terrible movies, but he's always giving an excellent performance in them. Like, X-Men Apocalypse was a shit movie. But fucking the scenes where Michael Fassbender is like a construction worker, I don't know, he's like such a good actor. He deserves to be in a great movie, and him being with Taika Waititi, who also kind of needs a comeback at this point after that shitstorm of Thor Love and Thunder, which I haven't watched. By the way, I'm never going to watch Thor and Love and Thunder. I'm not in the mood to see a comedic take on cancer. But anyway, Taika Waititi, Michael Fassbender, Taika Waititi doing something a little smaller. I like Jojo Rabbit. I like Boy. I like some of his smaller movies. Hunt for the Wilder People. It could be pretty good. I'm looking forward to this one. Next, June, we have the new Pixar movie, Elemental. I'm not really looking forward to it. There's only a small little trailer I saw that came out. Didn't look all that interesting to me. Kind of looked like Inside Out. I haven't really been into Pixar all that lately. I like that Soul movie. But other than that, I saw Turning Red. I saw Turning Red maybe like a week ago. So I was really late to the game. And that movie is terrible. Beyond belief. It gave me like a migraine. I had to watch it in 2 sittings. I needed to like take some caffeine just to get rid of my migraine. And then I had to rewatch the movie. It was bad. Pixar is not on a hot streak right now, in my opinion. So, whatever. I'm not really looking forward to this movie, and I probably will skip out on it. You have a new Wes Anderson movie called Asteroid City. Anderson's latest takes place during the 1950s when a junior stargazer convention is interrupted by potential world-changing event. This could be pretty interesting. It seems to kind of have like this apocalyptic vibe, which is something that I haven't seen Wes Anderson do. The problem I had with The French Dispatch is that it really just felt like Wes Anderson doing Wes Anderson. I want to see him do something different. I recently watched Bottle Rocket, which was Wes Anderson's first big picture, and it was such a breath of fresh air to me because it was like, okay, yeah, it's just a heist movie. There's some Wes Anderson isms in it, but it's not like in my face and like overbearing. But his last couple of movies, Isle of Dogs and French Dispatch, wasn't that big into. It kind of just felt too Wes Anderson for me. I want him to take a step back, shift gears, bring it back to that Bottle Rocket or even something like Rushmore, where it didn't feel like so in your face. July is the month of Oppenheimer, the latest Christopher Nolan movie. I think it's safe to say at this point that Tenet was a little disappointing. I don't think the Nolanites on the internets will massacre me for thinking this. It was a bit of a clusterfuck of a movie. It was kind of convoluted, it was everywhere, and it was overly complicated for nothing. It kind of felt like Christopher Nolan stroking his own ego. This Oppenheimer movie, he's kind of taking it back to the Dunkirk idea of making a historical movie. I'm looking at the behind the scenes of this movie. He actually created a huge quote-unquote nuclear blast. It wasn't a real nuclear blast. They're just trying to make it look like one. But using real practical effects to create a nuclear holocaust kind of thing. I think it could be interesting. Cillian Murphy looks great in the movie. I think this could be a pretty interesting Christopher Nolan joint. I'm not the biggest Christopher Nolan fan. He's a bit of a cold-hearted Englishman. It's not really my cup of tea, but I have to respect the fact that there's a director in Hollywood that is making these crazy, huge budget movies that are completely original ideas. He's like an auteur director, so just for that reason alone, I'm going to watch Oppenheimer. Challengers, which is the latest Luca Guadagnino film. If you guys watched my review of Bones and All, I wasn't that big into that movie. I think it was very up its own ass. It was very overrated. I think people say they like that movie. I don't think they actually like that movie. Let's get real. No, I'm not going to say that. I will say that the movie was painfully slow. I feel like there is a demographic for that movie. It really does feel like a teenage movie. It's just way too slow. It needed a bit more grit, which is surprising because I like Suspiria. I thought that was a really cool movie, and I liked Call Me By Your Name, although not as much as most. I'm a little hit and miss on Luca Guadagnino right now, but he's got a new movie, Challengers. Zendaya plays a tennis coach who turns her husband, who's played by Mike Feist, into a world champion, but when he's in a losing streak, to get him out of his rut, she signs him up for a low-level challenger event, only to realize that he has to play his ex-best friend and her former lover. Competition is high on and off the court. This could be good. Premise seems alright, I guess. Seems a little different from Luca Guadagnino. His last two movies were more horror. This doesn't really seem like a horror movie. I love Zendaya. Zendaya is really big at the moment, and what happens when an actor gets big is people start to hate on people. Although I don't go through that cycle as much, I like Zendaya quite a bit. So we'll see if this is any good. Jumping into October, True Love, new movie by Gareth Edwards, who made the Godzilla movie. He made the movie Monsters. He's been making mostly blockbuster movies lately. Now he's making an original movie. All-star cast, I will say. Danny McBride, John David Washington, Ken Watanabe, and Allison Janney. That's a pretty cool cast. I have no clue what the movie is about. Wish, latest Disney animated movie. An epic animated musical is inspired by the legacy of Disney films and asks the question, how did the wishing star, upon which so many characters wished, come to be? We need an origin story for wishing stars now. I don't know. Kind of just seems like a dumb idea in my opinion. Uh, yeah, not the biggest Disney animated fan as well as of late. Now, these are a bunch of movies that are coming out that we don't know the release date, but they're pretty much sure to come out in the year 2023. The Killer, again, Michael Fassbender, in a movie directed by David Fincher, from the writer of Seven. I was kind of saying that David Fincher kind of did too many murder movies to the point where I was like, okay, yeah, we get it. Murder, mystery, murder. But his last movie was Mank, so he kind of took a break from it. He made Mank, which is a movie I enjoyed quite a bit. I don't know how much normal people would enjoy a movie like Mank, people who haven't seen Citizen Kane, people who aren't film nerds like me. I'm going to watch The Killer nonetheless. It's David Fincher. He's like one of the best directors working right now. And again, I'm rooting for Michael Fassbender. Beau is Afraid. This is a really weird movie. It's directed by Ari Aster, stars Joaquin Phoenix. The poster of this movie seems to be like a de-aged version of Joaquin Phoenix as a child. And the director describes this movie as a zonky nightmare comedy. A decade-spanning portrait of one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time. We don't really know much about this movie. A zonky nightmare comedy sounds a little different from Ari Aster when you compare it to Hereditary or Midsommar, but he has that short film, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, which is definitely a zonky nightmare comedy. I'm looking forward to it. I think Hereditary is probably one of the best movies of the past decade. No exaggeration. That's a perfect fucking movie. So then you have like Joaquin Phoenix, who's like the best actor working right now. It's going to be good. It's safe to say it's going to be good. Killers of the Flower Moon, latest Scorsese joint. Again, all-star cast in this movie. DiCaprio, De Niro, Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser, who's probably going to win the Oscar for The Whale. And you got John Lithgow in it, about the early days of the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover. It sounds awesome. $200 million movie by Martin Scorsese made for Apple TV. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I loved The Irishman. A lot of people like to isolate certain scenes from The Irishman and say, oh, look at that scene where the CG wasn't good or De Niro's physical performance wasn't good. Listen, all that aside, it's a solid movie, The Irishman. Probably one of Scorsese's best, in my opinion. Just because of the content itself, the story itself, the characters themselves. I'm looking forward for The Killers of Flower Moon. Although I'm not the biggest fan when Scorsese collaborates with DiCaprio, sorry. I like it when he collaborates with De Niro, not as much DiCaprio. I like The Wolf of Wall Street. Other than that, Gangs of New York, I'm like, eh. And The Aviator, Departed, good. Not the top shelf Scorsese. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to this movie. It could be pretty good. Rebel Moon, new Zack Snyder movie made for Netflix. Zack Snyder says that this movie is based on Seven Samurai. Another space movie that's based on Seven Samurai is the original Star Wars. A young woman seeks out warriors from other planets to fight a tyrannical army, terrorizing a peaceful colony. Pretty much sounds like Seven Samurai, but in space. Who knows? Zack Snyder is... I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan as of right now. He's kind of made a couple of stinkers in a row. I didn't see Army of the Dead, but the Batman vs. Superman movie, Man of Steel, not really my cup of tea, not gonna lie. I will say, Sofia Boutella's in this movie, and she got me feeling a certain way. She's a very beautiful woman. Next, we have a new movie from the director of The Raid, Gareth Evans. I love the Raid movies. Those are excellent fucking movies. And he's making a movie with Tom Hardy called Havoc. By the title, I'm assuming that it's going to involve a lot of hand-to-hand combat. It should be a fun time. You got another Netflix action movie called Heart of Stone, starring Gal Gadot. Whenever I hear Gal Gadot in a Netflix action movie, I'm automatically going to think of that Red Notice movie, so not looking forward to it. I think Netflix has to stick away from the action movies. And lastly, Maestro, which is a Leonard Bernstein film starring and directed by Bradley Cooper. I heard that this movie is being produced by Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and Todd Phillips, which is pretty wild. Scorsese wanted to direct this movie, but he saw what Bradley Cooper did with A Star Is Born and figured that he's a better fit to direct that movie. So, who knows? It could be good. A Star Is Born was good, in my opinion. Not, like, mind-blowing. We'll see. It does look like Bradley Cooper is going to have a killer performance in it, though.